Hey Algebra 2, today we're going to talk about radian measure. Radian measure, well, when we have our XY coordinate plane, we've been dealing with degrees, but now we're actually going to change that into radians. Notice here when we start, we say this is 0 degrees, and we work counterclockwise. We're going to do the same thing with radians. The question is, what is a radian? Well, if you think about it, if we take an entire circle, work our way around, that's a bad circle, but oh well. If you think about the distance around of a circle is also called the circumference, which is 2 pi r. Okay? 2 pi times a radius. Well, to find radian measure, we're going to assume that the radius in this case is going to be 1. So if the radius is 1, we have 2 pi times 1, which is 2 pi. So all the way around the circle, now instead of saying 360 degrees, we're no longer going to say 360. We're going to say that's 2 pi. So to make it all the way around, it's going to be 2 pi radians. Okay? Times whatever the radius is. In this case, let's say it's 1. If that's the case, then halfway across, if it takes 2 pi to get all the way across, it's going to take 1 pi to get halfway. And therefore, half of that, so the first, the positive y-axis, is half of that, so pi over 2. Let me rewrite that. Pi over 2. Again, because if it takes 1 pi to get halfway across, it takes half of that pi to get halfway across that. So if we have 1 pi over 2, this is 2 pi over 2, making this 3 pi over 2. Again, this is taking the place of 90 degrees, 180, 270 degrees, and 360. So that is what we're going to be dealing with today. So we're going to have to learn is how do we convert from degrees to radians. So express negative 200 degrees in radian measure in terms of pi. Okay? Well, in order to do that, we're going to take our degrees and we're going to multiply it by pi over 180. Pi over 180. Okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to reduce. So we have a 0 and a 0. We have 20 over 18. So let me just rewrite that so you can see. And now we're going to reduce both of those by 2. So we're left with negative 10 pi over 9. So this is how we convert from degrees into radian measure in terms of pi. Is you multiply by pi over 180. Because if you think about it, the reason why we do pi over 180 is we're saying 2 pi is equal to 360 degrees. Okay, 2 pi is equal to 360 degrees. 2 pi r. Okay, that's our circumference. And so now we move the 360 over. So we get 2 pi. 2 pi over 360, forget about that, which reduces to pi over 180, okay, because those reduce. So this is where we're going to multiply by our degrees, okay. Alright, so now it says express 4 pi over 3 in degree measure. So again, when we went from degrees to radians, we multiplied by pi over 180. So in order to get back, if we're going to go from radians into degrees, we're going to do the opposite. So now we do 4 pi over 3 times 180 over pi. So we're going to multiply that by 180 over pi. Actually, let me just re-explain this one. Okay, this is 360 degrees. If I were to divide by 360 degrees, just for this to make a little more sense, okay, we get 1 degree over here is equal to pi over 180. That's why we do pi over 180. So we take the amount of degrees, times it by pi over 180. That's how we came up with this. Okay? So, and we do the opposite to go from radians to degrees. So now the pi's will cancel out. 3 goes into 180 60 times. So now 4 times 60 is going to be 240 degrees. Again, when you're trying to go from radians to degrees, you multiply by 180 over pi. Then we reduce, and that's what we get. Okay, 240 degrees. Actually, let's try another one. So if I were to give you 5 pi over 6, how many degrees is that? We're going to multiply by 180 over pi. So these cancel out. 6 goes into 180 30 times. So we're left with 150 degrees. So again, this is how we do it. Radians times 180 over pi gives us the degrees. Alright. Next, express the given radian measure in degrees to the nearest degree. Well, this one obviously you can see it doesn't have pi. So what we can do, you could still do the 180 over pi, but this one doesn't have a pi to cancel out. So we figured out that 360 degrees is equal to 2 pi r. Again, we said this before. Full cycle equal to a full cycle. Well, we're trying to figure out what is 1 radian worth. If we were to divide that by 2 pi to get the radian by itself, we'd end up with, if you did 360 divided by 2 pi, this is about 57.3 degrees. Okay? 57.3 degrees. So what we're going to do with these problems is we're going to take this amount and we're going to multiply by these numbers. So 3 radians times 57.3 degrees per radian is going to give us 171.9 degrees. But notice the directions say round it to the nearest degree. So our final answer would be 172 degrees. Alright? Same thing here. Negative 2.6 radians times 57.3 degrees per radian. We're going to end up with negative 148.98 degrees. Not 90, 98. There we go. But it says again, round to the nearest degree, so our answer will be negative 149 degrees. Alright. Let's do one more type of problem. Find the value of each trig ratio in simplest radical form. So, you were given sine of 4 pi over 3. We have to find what is the sine of 4 pi over 3. Well, since we've been doing these triangles in degrees, let's convert first. So 4 pi over 3 times 180 over pi, because we want to convert this to degrees. These cross out. 3 goes into 180 60 times. So now you have 4 times 60 is 240 degrees. So really what we're looking for is the sine of 240 degrees. Well, we did this in our last chapter. So therefore we know this is 90 degrees, 180, and then 60 more to make 240 degrees. So we create our triangle. This gives us the 30, 60, 90 triangle in which our hypotenuse is 2. The side opposite 30 is 1, but it's negative because it's going left. Side opposite 60 is root 3, but it's negative because it's going down. So now we just need to ask ourselves, from our terminal angle here, what is the sine? Opposite, negative root 3, over hypotenuse, 2. So this would be our final answer. That is the sine of 4 pi over 3, which is also the same thing as the sine of 240 degrees. Okay? So please let me know if you have any questions in class, and good luck with that. Alright, bye.